1041 FM KMOX. Sponsored by Saliga Heating and Cooling, a Daikin comfort dealer. Overhead Door Company of St. Louis. The genuine, the original. Now the Gashouse Gang on KMOX.
That's right, Gashouse Gang until 1 o'clock every weekday from 12 until 1 on 1041 FM KMOX. I'm Chris Ranji, going to have Bernie Miklas with me here shortly as we've got, so much has happened in, the last 24 hours in terms of sports, and there's so much more to come. Got the wild card weekend happening this weekend in the NFL. Some very big games. Any playoff game is a big game. We'll have Eric Edholm from NFL.com who covers the NFL and draft. So we'll talk to him. That'll be at 12:30. But Bernie Miklas is here now. And the show is brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, SaligaHeatingandCooling.com, and Overhead Door Company of St. Louis. Bernie, I don't even know where to start because the Billikens had a huge win on the road last night. They were looking for that quad one win. They were looking for a big win. Mizzou able to beat Kentucky on the road, winning at Rupp Arena for the first time. And the Blues, they got beaten pretty badly by the Blackhawks. There always seems to be something weird now that goes on when the Blues are on national TV. First, it was Jordan Binnington trying to take Ovechkin's puck. And then last night, Binnington refusing to come off the ice, and Joel Hofer was nowhere to be found as they were trying to replace him after the seventh goal. What is going on with this Blues team?
Where do I start? First of all, they're not very good, and their star players, for the most part, just are no-shows on the ice too many evenings. Joel Hofer is the only reason why the Blues, since late November, when they have had success, he's been primarily responsible for it. Jordan Binnington is having a terrible, terrible, terrible season. And I don't care that once in every several moons he'll have a shutout or play well. His performance for the season, the body of work for the season is horrendous. And you're not going to be able to put together a lot of wins if he plays a lot and you can't count on him to play at a high level. I mean, that is a recipe for failure. So it's a bewildering team. It's a frustrating team. I feel bad for Blues fans who remain incredibly faithful in terms of their devotion to that team. It's hard to watch. That was really hard to watch. But you know what? I got to tell you the truth. I wasn't watching it because I wanted to see SLU and I wanted to see Mizzou, and I was trying to watch them both roughly at the same time, or at least parts of it. And they both those wins. They had a lot in common. SLU had never won a game at Virginia Commonwealth Arena. Mizzou had never won a game at Rupp Arena. They both won in those hostile places last night. And both of them had comebacks. Like Mizzou looked like they were going to go down, and then they score 15 of the final 17 points of the game and win at Rupp Arena against a good team. Mm-hmm. And the Billikens led most of the way, but all of a sudden they're down by a point late. And then they score the final 10 points. I mean, I love the fact both of those teams won, but I love the way they actually got the win, because they had to show some fight. So I like that. I'm sorry.
You're absolutely right about that, too. And I was on flip mode last night. Got the Billikens game on one screen, and then you've got the Tigers game on the other, and they were all finishing at about the same time, right? All going on about the same time, and you realize with about a minute or so left that Bills are about to win this thing pretty easily. And for a team that is playing good basketball, they've had a couple of hiccups. They've had a defensive issue here and there, but Bernie, for the most part, when they play teams they are better than, and they've been better than pretty much every team they've played, they not only win games, but they win fairly decisively. And that was a game last night that was important for their resume, not just because it's a conference opponent, but because it's a strong opponent. But they're taking care of business against teams they are better than. That is exactly what you're supposed to do.
That was a big win last night because it really was a toss-up game, especially in their building, VCU's building. And so for the Billikens to come out of there with a dub, I mean, that was a great move. they went into that game 29th in the NCAA net. I don't know where they are today, but I'm sure they moved up, or they certainly didn't move down. And they continue to be in a pretty good spot at the Ken Palm ratings. And listen, I will have to say this. Mizzou, to me, was, well, to just about anybody who cares about them, Mizzou was very depressing and very disappointing and kind of confusing why they were just so awful before conference play began. That thumping they got from the Illini was embarrassing. Let's be honest, right? Yeah. I did not see
that. Nope.
I did not see the Tigers opening the SEC by beating the defending national champion, Florida, at home, and then going to Kentucky and winning a game there at Rupp for the first time. I did not see that start to their SEC schedule.
Well, I didn't see them losing by that much to the Illini in the bragging rights game. I could see them losing. They weren't the favorite, fine, but not like that. Right. They were absolutely steamrolled. You asked about St. Louis. The Billikens are 24th in the net right now. So they're looking, looking pretty good.
Yep. And listen, we also have to be realistic. That's why they're going to have to, I think, the only way they can protect themselves in terms of an NCAA tournament possibility, and it's still a little early about that, but, they got to win the conference tournament title. They have to get the short ticket in. But if they don't get the short ticket in, they can't afford to lose too many games. Like I could see where the Atlantic 10 could get 2 teams in, whoever wins the conference tournament. But also if the second best team in the conference has a really outstanding record with no real holes in the resume other than you're not going to have as strong a schedule as some teams that are playing in the power conference. But the Billikens probably will not. They're not going to be able to kind of let some games slip away.
That's right.
To your point.
That's right.
They're going to have to nail them down. Games they should win. They got to take care of business.
Yeah, this could be one of those teams that just can't afford more than 3 or 4 losses, and maybe that's even too much. I don't know. Just because the non-conference schedule wasn't very strong, everybody knew that. Even people on the Billiken side admitted. We talked to Bob Ramsey every Monday, and we discussed that a ton. That because the non-conference wasn't particularly beefy, that they were just they might just have to end up winning the conference tournament. However, if if you run the table and at the end of the year you've got 1 loss, I don't think you can be overlooked. But the likelihood of them doing that is very low.
Right, and I'll say this though, and I'm not saying. Well, listen, I love watching SLU basketball, especially if they have an interesting team. I thought Josh Schertz, was a great hire. I thought the first year, of course, it's always tough to get things settled in. But you watch that team now; they're deep, they're athletic, they push the pace, so they're entertaining. They play fast. In terms of their offensive efficiency, very, very high in the rankings. They get after it on defense. They have a conscience at both ends of the floor. They aren't one-dimensional. It's not like, well, we're just going to outscore everybody. In other words, like, we don't worry about defense. We're going to score enough. No, they work really hard at that, and I just love watching them play. That was even though that game last night was a bit of a football game, bodies flying everywhere, and a lot of missed field goals. But no, that's one of those games where you would think the road team would come up short. The home team would have that advantage, because it was such a scrum. It was such a scramble. But the Billikens persevered.
They're the best team in town. And Bernie, it doesn't happen very often where they're the best team currently in the city.
Yep.
I think it's really cool when this does happen. Of course, it's not cool. The Cardinals aren't, or the Blues don't look like it, right? Because you always want your pro teams to be competitive. And it's unusual, honestly, in recent memory. This is the only time that you've had a Cardinals team that hasn't been like a division leader or, and is, I guess, about a last, 5 or 10 years thing.
Yeah.
This is unusual for us, but it rarely happens where the Billikens are number 1. And right now they are number 1, and I hope they continue to get the attention.
I do too, because they're worthy of it, and they're fun. We haven't had a lot of fun on the St. Louis sports scene for a while. We
No.
really haven't. The Billikens are a source of pleasure and fun and entertainment. So that's a really good thing.
It's awesome. And we are the home of the Billikens. Their next one is going to be Saturday afternoon. They will play at LaSalle. So another road game for the Bills, who are 14-1 on the season. You can hear that game on 104.1 FM KMOX. Bernie Miklas is here. And when we come back, I'm going to talk a little bit about the Cardinals in their offseason and what they're going to do with Brendan Donovan. And the reporting yesterday about the interest in Donovan may not be, or the perception of Donovan may not be what the Cardinals think it is. We'll talk more about that. And the television deal is up in the air. And the group that has been Main Street Sports is the name of the group that televises Cardinals games. They are known as FanDuel Sports Network. FanDuel is the naming rights of the network, and they're up in the air. Main Street Sports is having a difficult time, and it looks like they're going away. We're going to talk more about that TV deal as well, what it means for you as a Cardinals fan who likes to be able to watch your team. But speaking of FanDuel, and right now it being playoff time, both in professional football and in college football. The CFP is going on right now, and you've got to know that there's a great deal that FanDuel is giving all of its customers, a profit boost every college playoff game day. So that means you've got several chances to level up your picks and turn big moments into bigger wins. You can go with the favorite. You can take a shot on an underdog, build a parlay, whatever you want to do, because a profit boost will give you bigger winnings if you do hit that bet. FanDuel is the best place to get into the football action all playoff long. And when you win, you're going to get paid immediately. So go to FanDuel.com/Missouri, FanDuel.com/Missouri. Get your college playoff profit boost today. 21 plus and present in Missouri. Opt-in required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable profit boost tokens. Restrictions apply, including any token expiration and max wager amount. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
What is it that makes the all-new Hyundai Palisade Hybrid an incredible SUV? Is it the spacious interior that's comfy for the whole crew? Or the capability to go off-road? Maybe it's up to 600-plus miles of range. What if it's all of that and more? What is it then? The all-new Hyundai Palisade Hybrid. So much more than just another SUV. Visit HyundaiUSA.com or call 562-314-4603 for more details.
Taxes was feeling so stuck. Sitting in traffic, squeezing into a parking spot, all to squeeze in getting tax help during your lunch break. Now Taxes is a TurboTax expert who does your taxes for you, while you go about your day getting real-time notifications about their progress and the most money back guaranteed. Now this is Taxes. Intuit TurboTax. See guarantee details at turbotax.com/guarantees. Only available with TurboTax experts. Real-time updates only in iOS mobile app.
Hey City fans, the official 2026 St. Louis City SC Yeti Refillable Rambler is here. Don't miss your chance to get the only reusable drinkware with exclusive in and out privileges at Energizer Park. Pre-order yours now at stlcitygo.com to guarantee you get yours by the home opener on February 21st and join St. Louis City in their mission to reduce waste on match day and every day.
Taking care of your health should be simple. And with the Neovitin monthly subscription, it finally is. Choose your doctor-formulated multivitamin and we'll deliver it straight to your door every month. No more running out, no more remembering to reorder, just consistent nutrition made easy. Plus, subscribers save 10% every month and can pause or cancel at any time. Visit neovitin.com and start your subscription today. Neovitin, trusted nutrition every day.
I'm Ultima Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. Every time one of my children started driving, it was terrifying. Thousands of accidents happen across the country. We see it every day. If you've been injured in a car accident, call us.
Dial pound law or visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Retiring soon? Get the information you need by joining Kyle Jones and Matt Allgeier of Fire Capital Management for your retirement highway, Sunday mornings at 9:30. Investment advisory services made available through Pine Ridge Advisors, LLC, a registered investment advisor. Securities made available through AE Financial Services, LLC, member FINRA and SIPC.
Hi, this is Ron Jacobra. 100 years. That's how many years KMOX has been the voice of St. Louis. Congratulations to the Mighty Mocs.
Bernie Miklasz on the show today, brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, a Daikin dealer. I'm Chris Ranji. This is the Gashouse Gang, 12 to 1 every weekday on KMOX. So yesterday, this note, and I know this isn't necessarily groundbreaking stuff, and maybe we kind of had the idea that the interest in Cardinals assets, and I don't necessarily like calling players assets, but they are trade assets, as we are here in the middle of the offseason, Bernie. And what we have seen regarding Brendan Donovan, who is really felt to be their number one trade chip during the offseason, and some reporting from Ken Rosenthal yesterday, who says this. He writes, the delay on Donovan, meaning the fact that he's not been traded yet, talking about that. Why have the Cardinals not yet traded him? The player who can bring them the most in a deal, it comes down to a difference in perceived value. The Cardinals view Donovan as a star player, while not all clubs see him that way. According to people briefed on the conversations, Donovan, who turns 29 this month, offers many appealing qualities from his swing decisions to his bat-to-ball skills, so on and so forth. We know a lot about him. But what do you make of that? That the Cardinals, at this point, appear to see him in a much higher light than maybe other teams do. Is this just negotiating, or is there more to it?
I think the answer could be both. And I'm not copping out by saying that, but here's what I mean. Number one, I don't blame Chaim Bloom for trying to maximize any kind of return he would get for Brendan Donovan. So he doesn't like the offers that he's received so far. He doesn't have to jump at offers just because it's, January 8th. He still has time. And there's a lot of posturing on both sides with these kind of things. Of course, the other teams want to kind of talk Bloom down and stress that, well, we don't think he's as good or as valuable as you do. So I guess we're not going to be able to really come to an agreement. So, I mean, it just goes back and forth. That in itself is not unusual. I think it's kind of normal. However, and people are going to get mad at me for saying this, but I really believe it, even though as much as I like Brendan Donovan, because the Cardinals they're severely short on star power, and he's a very likable player and he's a good player. We in St. Louis really, really, really overrate him. I see Cardinals fans all the time, and I'm not criticizing anybody, but I'm just talking about, I see him all the time. Some of my friends who write really good blogs about the Cardinals, for example, well, they need to keep him and build the team around him. With all due respect, Brendan Donovan is like a really good complementary player on your team. Like, you have stars, you have big time dudes, then he fits into your lineup and you're like, wow, to have a guy like as a complementary star to these guys, that's a good situation. We tend to view him as a big star, and he simply isn't. He's a really good player, though. So I can see why other teams perhaps don't see him in the same light as we do in St. Louis. I mean, people can hate me for saying that, but I'm just trying to be honest here.
He does have a lot of value, and I'm glad you said that, because my first thought when Brendan Donovan comes up is, you know what, man, he would look great on the Dodgers. He'd look great on a team like that is already stacked. And it's not to take anything away from him. It's that he'd be really valuable for a team like that's already really, really good. Now they've got this guy. They can plug and play pretty much anywhere and give spells to players who might need a night off from the field or, whatever it is, without taking their bats out of the lineup. I mean, he'd be great for a team like that. Really, truly would. And I think that maybe we overrate him because we see him every single day and we see how valuable he is to this team. But it might also be that we are comparing him to players who are not stars. I mean, the Cardinals have Nolan Arenado, who is a star, but he's a star on the decline. And the evidence of that is there isn't a ton of interest in him right now from other markets, from other clubs. No. They're not looking to trade for Nolan Arenado. They want to see what happens with some of these other guys first, and then maybe they will come to the Cardinals and make a deal for him as a last resort. So there's your evidence right there. The Cardinals don't have a star, so we're putting Brendan Donovan up against the rest of the roster, which is just okay.
Yeah, it's okay for now. I think the star power will increase over time during this rebuild, and I think J.J. Weatherholt will be fits a star profile for sure, but he's got to also prove it. And you know, the Arenado situation continues to be a concern, and when I say concern, it's an understatement. I'm really concerned now because, you know, John Heyman, longtime baseball writer, as you know, he was answering a question, and I think it was a question, but anyway, I saw what he said, and I'm trying to find it here so I can read it to you. And me being a knucklehead, I can't find it. But basically, John Heyman said the Angels really don't have any interest in Nolan Arenado, and I assumed that they did.
Yeah.
But
well,
what Heyman said. Yeah, what Heyman said that really jumped out at me, and Heyman's got great contacts. He knows all the agents really well. He said that Arenado doesn't want to go there. And I mean, I don't know what to say because, first of all, he has the right to determine where he goes in a trade. And I respect that right.
That's right.
But he turned down a done deal with the Astros, who certainly were a much better team than the Cardinals, and it would have been a ballpark that really would have helped, it really would have helped him offensively. He pulling the ball down there towards the Crawford boxes. It's a much easier home run. It really would have revived him to an extent. But he wasn't thinking about it in those terms because he assumed that the Dodgers would come for him or the Phillies or the Red Sox or whomever. But it's like, dude, you're a Hall of Famer. Loved having you in St. Louis. You get to say where you want to go. It's in your contract. But I don't know. If you're going to be really, 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 really picky again, like, well, what do you think is going to happen here?
Well, I would say that, you cannot make a player want something. Right. And if Nolan Arenado's desire is just a level of comfort or something, that he's familiar here, he'd rather just play out his days unless he gets a deal to go to, and I don't know where he's willing to go, but the Tigers or something like that. I don't know. I'm just throwing teams out there. If he wants to be picky, he can. I just don't. If I'm him, I think that I would probably want to go somewhere where I have a chance at least. Because this Cardinals team, of course, anything can happen. Of course, everything can align, and they can have a magical miracle season in 2026. Of course, that could happen. Not very likely, though. So I don't know why you would not, if you're getting toward the tail end of your career, want to go to a team that has an opportunity at the playoffs and a good opportunity. And the Astros just missed out last year. Mm-hmm. You know, they didn't go, but they just missed out. So I don't know. And it's tough to get upset with him because he earned this right. He has it in his contract, but it may end up being a source of frustration if the season starts and he's still here. So I hope that doesn't happen, and I want what's good for him too. Right. But, it's going to be really frustrating for the Cardinals if he's still in a uniform when the season starts.
I know he's been working extremely hard in improving his bat speed. He did this once before where his bat speed, was dragging. And the result was his 2022 season after he put in a hard winter's work to try to speed up the bat, and he did. But then it kind of backed up again. And from what I understand, he's working on the bat speed again because he knows that it's absolutely essential to whether he can rebound offensively. But there are new ways or new methods to try to do that, so he's working on some new stuff. And I talked about this. I don't know if I talked about it. No, I wrote about this. The interesting thing, there is a parallel, and I'm not saying this is going to happen, but because a lot of guys, once they hit the downside, they never come out of it. You get to your mid-30s or whatever. Everybody has a different age. But quickly, if you look at George Springer in Toronto, George Springer was on a 2-year decline, and the second year was really, really bad. And George Springer and Nolan Arenado are the same age. And everyone was like, man, Springer, God, we like him being on the Blue Jays. What a great guy, this and that, this and that, this and that. He's a team leader, this and that, this. But, yeah, his best days are a hitter. Nah, he's fading. Well, I'll be danged if George Springer last year didn't hit over 30 home runs. And if you go by OPS plus or whatever, he was like 66% above the league average offensively after being below average the year before. So it can happen. And by the way, George Springer fixed himself by improving his bat speed, which is what Arenado's working on now. So how funny would it be that if he winds up staying and all of a sudden he's good again?
Well, hey, that is, Bernie, that is not off the table. He is only 34. Right. He'll be 34 when the season starts and turn 35 soon after that. But, it has happened before where guys figure something out. Like you said, bat speed could be a number of different things. And if that does happen, that'd be great. But hopefully whatever does happen works out for both him and the Cardinals. When we come back, we're going to talk a little wild card weekend. We've got Eric Edholm, who covers the NFL for NFL.com. He'll join us next on KMOX.
Weekdays at 5, it's Rush Hour Sports on KMOX. Hot stove blazing. College football bowl season heating up. College basketball teams making their final prep for conference play. NFL teams jockeying for playoff positions. And the latest in Cardinals baseball and Blues hockey. Fast updates, instant analysis, zero wasted seconds. St. Louis sports, all of it. Delivered right at Rush Hour. Rush Hour Sports, weekdays at 5 on KMOX.
If you or anyone you care about is facing a family legal matter, call Cordell & Cordell today at 1-855-GET-LEGAL.
There's a lot on the line in divorce. This is Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell, the largest family law firm in the country, with over 35 years of helping clients navigate divorce. But being big doesn't mean less personal or less local. Our attorneys live and work in your community, and as neighbors, they understand the challenges your families face. Divorce touches all areas of your life: your home, savings, retirement, and of course, kids. So when you find yourself facing divorce, you need a partner you can count on.
If you or anyone you care about is facing divorce, contact Cordell & Cordell today. With over 100,000 clients served, we understand the challenges you're facing on a personal level. Call Cordell & Cordell today at 1-855-GET-LEGAL. That's 1-855-GET-LEGAL. The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements. 600 Kelwood, St. Louis.
Glover here for my friends at Cantor Injury Law. Cantor is local, and we're here doing the work every day. We're right here in St. Louis, and we're ready to fight for you. CantorInjuryLaw.com or call 314-628-9999.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be solely based on advertisements.
Now, KMOX weather from the Saliga Heating and Cooling Weather Desk.
58 degrees and cloudy in St. Louis. Rain and thunderstorms possible later on. Tonight, we're going to get a low of 44.
If you're one of the millions of Americans behind on your taxes, if you're afraid to open your mail because IRS collection letters could be coming, listen carefully. The IRS is cracking down, taking paychecks, freezing bank accounts, revoking passports. That's a fact. But here's what most people don't know. There are official tax relief programs designed to help struggling taxpayers. Programs that could save you thousands if you qualify. No one knows these programs better than the experts at Optima Tax Relief. Optima's award-winning team will fight to protect your paycheck, your passport, and your property. Their tax attorneys and licensed tax professionals will work tirelessly to get you the best deal possible with the IRS. Every day, penalties and interest keep piling up, so don't wait. Call Optima now for a free consultation.
Call 800-348-0269. 800-348-0269. 800-348-0269.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Okay, we've got the chips, the fancy cheese, the sparkling cider. Oh, and I need to fill up the tank on the way home.
Look at the cart. We haven't even hit midnight yet, and you're already blowing your save money resolution for next year.
I'm not blowing it. I'm being smart. I'm using Upside.
Upside? That cash back app?
Exactly. I just claimed an offer, and just like that, I'm getting cash back on all these groceries. And I'll do the same at the gas station. It's how I earned an extra $250 this year.
Wait, $250?
Yep, that's extra cash I can cash out to my bank or throw onto gift cards to my favorite spots.
Download the free Upside app and start earning cash back now. Use promo code POP10 for a $10 bonus on your first grocery purchase. That's promo code POP10. Make your resolution easy this year. Download the free Upside app today and use promo code POP10 for an extra $10 bonus on your first purchase.
Offers vary by user and location at participating merchants. Go to upside.com for terms and conditions.
Saturday afternoon, it's men's Billikens basketball action as they face LaSalle. Pre-game 2:45, tip at 3 on your home for Billikens basketball. 104.1 FM, KMOX.
It is the Gashouse Gang, Saliga Heating and Cooling, a Daikin dealer, sponsoring the show, and Bernie Miklas, who is on the show today with me, Chris Ranji, with you until 1 o'clock. And before we get to football here, wild card weekend, arbitration day is tomorrow, and teams have to get deals done by tomorrow. That's the deadline. And within the last few minutes, reports out that Lars Nootbaar and the Cardinals have agreed to a $5.35 million deal to avoid arbitration. And that does not necessarily mean he will be on the roster this year. It just means he's got a contract now. So that's one. Andre Palante has a deal as well, reportedly. So Bernie Miklas, Chris Ranji, let's talk wild card weekend. And joining us now, writing for NFL.com, been covering the NFL for a long time, and a Mizzou guy, so probably really happy about what happened at Rupp Arena last night. It is Eric Edholm on the show. How's it going, Eric?
First time, right? First time they won there. That was something else. It may not be the best Kentucky team we've ever seen, but I'll take the win.
Yeah, great deal, man.
Eric, Bernie, man, we're having a reunion on KMOX. How cool is that?
I love it. I love hearing your voices. What's going on, guys?
Well, we wanted an expert in here. You know, since we're not an NFL town, we don't know anything about the NFL anymore. I'm being a little facetious. No, I don't know where to start. You know, the AFC, I think pretty much everyone agrees is wide open because the Chiefs are no longer an obstacle. Who do you think is in the best position to claim that AFC throne? There's so many different possibilities you can make a case for.
Yeah, no, there really are. I mean, no Lamar, no Mahomes, no Joe Burrow. You know, even on the NFC side, no Detroit Lions, who had kind of become a force the last few years. So, yeah, different look and feel, but definitely on that AFC side, I mean, you really only have Josh Allen as the sort of playoff. I guess you do Aaron Rodgers too. I shouldn't say it like that, but you know, at the peak of his career, you know, that's the guy who's had playoff experience, and you know, entered the season with Super Bowl aspirations. But how good are the Bills right now? I mean, I'm worried about their first round matchup. If they can get by the Jaguars, sure, I'll give them a little more credence. But I don't know that we've given the Jaguars enough credit for what they're doing, at least in the second half of the season. The Texans have been basically up against it since the 0-3 start, and they've played a lot of good football since September. You know, the Chargers are interesting. If their offensive line doesn't fall apart, they could go into New England and upset a Patriots team, you know, an upstart team with an MVP candidate in Drake May. But I think still some questions about them, whether they're a true contender. And even Denver at number one. I mean, you know, didn't play a brutal schedule, got beaten by 2 touchdowns at home a couple weeks ago against the Jags. You know, I think it's fair to say that you could almost make a case for any of these teams. Now, obviously, the Steelers, I think, are going to have to, you know, win a tough game and prove that they're here to stay, barely kind of limping into the playoffs, as it were. But, yeah, this is fascinating, wide open, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, Steelers have the Texans this weekend, or Monday, actually, and that's kind of where I wanted to go because Aaron Rodgers has played pretty well for somebody we thought was completely done, and here he is. Is he good enough to win them a couple of games?
I mean, against this Texans defense, it's going to be a different level of challenge. You know, he's not going to have some of those looks he had in the fourth quarter against the Ravens. I mean, I'm not trying to take anything away from Aaron, who I agree with what you said. I wasn't sure where he was. You know, even at the end of last season, you're saying to yourself, can he improve his play over what we've seen? It was okay in the second half of the season last year, borderline good. But, you know, was it playoff good? I don't know. I think he's raised the bar this year, even with some hiccups and some slow patches for the offense in November, December, things like that. But I think it's as much incumbent on them not allowing C.J. Stroud to beat them too. They had a secondary that was also torn apart by big plays, and that's sort of the one thing I think the Texans can do is push the ball vertically, offensively. So, yeah, I mean, this Steelers team comes with a host of questions, right? If they were to lose this game, what's the future of Mike Tomlin? Could we see another John Harbaugh type of situation play out where it's just time, kind of like Andy Reid in Philadelphia, where everyone admits these are really good head coaches, if not, the best half dozen in the league in the last 30 years or something like that, Harbaugh and Tomlin and guys like that. But, man, is Rodgers done after that? Would he play for a different head coach? Would he try to go elsewhere? I mean, there's just so many existential questions about the Steelers right now as they head into this game where they're, probably the underdogs in this matchup.
I was looking at some numbers, which I won't repeat, but it was really intriguing to me to see how, drastic they were. The records of quarterbacks who are starting their first ever NFL postseason game. And it's not pretty. Now, this doesn't mean – I'm going to say this for Ranji because he's a Bears fan, so I'm going to make him nervous. I'm not saying that, Caleb Williams is going to, kind of make a mess in his pants when they play the Packers. I'm not saying that, but
right.
I guess I shouldn't be so surprised to learn that, through history, modern times, these first time, starters in a playoff game at quarterback kind of get beat up a little bit. But do you see an exception to that trend in this field? Yeah.
I mean, there are three guys that I'm kind of looking at. Bryce Young, obviously the Panthers kind of eked their way in, lost week 18 and got the tiebreaker to get in. Drake May, who's obviously had an MVP type of season, whether he wins it or not, I don't know, but he and Stafford are the clear favorites, I think, at this point. And then also Caleb, and those three guys are all, roughly the same age, roughly the same amount of experience. Young's had a little bit more or whatever, but yeah, I mean, all three guys, I think, face different levels of pressure. The Patriots are probably playing the best of those three teams right now if we're looking at the last few games. And I think the Bears have to be a little bit nervous. These long stretches where they're not scoring on offense, giving up some big plays on defense. And, you're playing in a primetime game at Soldier Field against your most hated rival, a team that they lost to up in Green Bay and probably should have lost to in Soldier Field. Again, we're not piling on here, Chris, just so you know, right? But I mean, look, he's the one that I think you go in and say, I mean, Bryce Young, I don't think is expected to beat the Rams. Drake May, if he doesn't beat the Chargers, if they lose in a tough game, like everybody's still pretty high on his future. And I think the same still applies for Caleb. But, given the way things have kind of turned in the last minute, yes, they got the 2 seed, but, got a little lucky with Philly not playing their starters and, the Bears not able to take care of business against Detroit. So, again, one bad performance or a loss doesn't doom anybody by any means, but I think there's a little bit of edginess. There's a little bit of anxiety over whether the Bears can play a full 60 minutes and not have to resort to, heroics in the final seconds. They'll take it, obviously, and he's been, what Caleb's been so good at this year is obviously delivering in the clutch, but then big picture, the turnovers are down, the sacks are down, making more smart decisions, things like that, manipulating defenses better, not sort of trying for these hero plays every single time. And he's made a lot of growth this year. He and Ben Johnson so far, I don't know how you argue with the results. It's been terrific. There's more growth, I think, ahead, but I'll be fascinated to see how they come out, whether they can't start a little faster in that game.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, and I don't know they can look. We all know what happened last game against the Packers and how they had to get a lot of help and the takeaways. Yeah. And if they don't get the takeaways, the defense isn't particularly good. So, that does concern me. But bigger picture with Williams, that's a guy who just, I think, 6 weeks ago, people were still saying, "Hey, this guy's a bust. We don't know about this guy." And now to me, it looks like a guy who might actually have it. He's not there yet, but how do you see him?
Same way. Yeah. I mean, I've been watching this kid since his first throw at Oklahoma. And I mean, that made me sit up in my seat. Obviously, just one throw, I thought, wow, there's some arm talent there. My goodness. And, I've been fascinated to see his ups and downs, even his final year at USC when he didn't have a great situation around him. And we saw that kind of carry over his rookie year where, I don't think he was given the right guidance and I don't think he was given the right supporting cast. And, he played sort of the only way he knows how, which is like, I'm just going to try to make as many plays as I can. And I think they've, in a good way, worked some of that out of him, right? Like, trust the system. Ben's a great play caller. He's got a big picture in mind. They've added offensive talent all around him. Really every offensive position got some kind of help this offseason, I think. So that, and along with kind of a good, I don't want to say calming influence because Ben can be a pretty intense guy, but a steadying influence in terms of down-to-down consistency, drive to drive, game to game, trying to flatten it out a little bit. And there were some games the Bears have won this year, like you said. It wasn't that long ago where people are still having their doubts, where, Williams was okay or acceptable, passable, but not great. But that's really where I think the next step comes. If he can make a big run in the playoffs, obviously, that'll vault you towards next year, but hard not to be encouraged by what we've seen.
Eric Edholm covers the NFL for NFL.com and is with us on KMOX. Bernie, if you want to get one more in before we say goodbye.
Yeah, I do have an interest in Jacksonville, and I was glad to hear you say that they could be underestimated a little bit. They've been pretty impressive,
Yeah.
but my former next door neighbor and his parents lived directly behind us. James Gladstone, the 35-year-old general manager of the Jags.
Yeah.
He's there. And then, Mark Lamping, who was the president of the St. Louis Cardinals, he's the Jaguars team president. So who says St. Louis doesn't have a team in the NFL? But anyway, on a serious note, I am rooting for them as a fan. Do you think they do have a real shot at taking the Bills down? And by the way, the Bills have not been good on the road in the playoffs, as you know. Granted, some of those games were in KC, but still, what do you think?
Yeah, no, I think they have a chance, Bernie. I really do. I mean, I think people have sort of, I don't know if it's the expansion bias or, this team has been bad for so long, an occasional good year here and there. People just sort of think of them as they've had a nice season, but, now the big boys are showing up. No, I really think if you look at the last 7 or 8 games, they've played as well as anybody. I think last 8 games, they've outscored people something like 269 to 116. So, you're more than doubling up your opponents. You're doing something right. It's a great run defense. They take the ball away. Trevor Lawrence has played as well as he has since down the stretch in 2022. The Travis Hunter injury didn't kill him. James Gladstone's made some big moves this offseason too. And, everything he's done has kind of paid off. Liam Cohen has been a great hire. So, everything has kind of come together faster than expected, a little similar to Chicago. So you're taking a talented quarterback, giving him some insulation and helping him kind of nurture him a little bit. And Trevor's responded. So, yeah, I think the atmosphere in Jacksonville, I can tell you, is going to be pretty amazing, kind of like it was for that Monday nighter against the Chiefs when they pulled the upset. And now, obviously, looking back, we know how the Chiefs ended up. But I think you're going to see them fired up, and I think the team is going to deliver. Now, whether they end up winning or not, I don't know. Josh Allen's a tough battle, but they're good. I think they're better than a lot of people realize.
We appreciate you, Eric Edholm. It's always great to talk football with you. Thanks for talking with us. Congrats on your MIZ win last night.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. Great hearing both of your voices.
Take care, man.
Eric Edholm. You can read him on NFL.com, covers the NFL, and he's really good at the draft, too. So if you're interested in the NFL draft, the first 18 slots are already figured out, and you can read his coverage on that. Bernie, as we hit the break, why don't you tell everybody about our friends at Saliga, won't you?
I'd be delighted. We're big fans of Saliga Heating and Cooling in the Miklas home. 18 years now we've been calling them, and they've helped us so many times. They love the quality of their service, the integrity, the professionalism, the knowledge. When they're in your home, they're classy. Never try to pressure into something. They'll answer every question. They will explain everything, give you all the options. They're not going to go straight to the most expensive option. They want to keep your trust, earn your trust so they can keep your business, and they really mean that. And why should you believe that? Well, Saliga Heating and Cooling is a Daikin comfort dealer. And the Saliga family has continuously owned this business since 1927, 4 generations. Dan Saliga being the 4th owner-operator. So they have established standards and traditions and customs, and this is what we are and this is what we believe. You got to count on people like that because they've got the track record to prove it. One more thing real quick. Take a look at their Priority Club. It's a maintenance program that'll save you money because it extends the life of your current equipment. That has saved us a lot of money. To find out more about Saliga Heating and Cooling, just go to SaligaHeatingandCooling.com. Thank you.
Hey, City fans, the official 2026 St. Louis City SC Yeti refillable Rambler is here. Pre-order yours now at STLCityGo.com to get yours by the home opener on February 21st.
This is the story of the one. As the purchasing manager at a manufacturing plant, she knows the only thing more important than having the right safety gear is having it there when you need it. That's why she partners with Grainger for auto reordering, so her team members can count on her to have cut-resistant gloves on hand, and each shift can run safely and efficiently. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Are you 50 or older? This news is for you. The CDC recommends you get vaccinated against pneumococcal pneumonia. Even if you're healthy, your age puts you at risk. People 50 or older are over 6 times more likely to be hospitalized with pneumococcal pneumonia compared to adults 18 to 49. Just one shot can help protect you. Learn more and schedule at vaxassist.com. That's VAXassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Let's go. The NFL playoffs are here, and DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL, makes every moment feel bigger. In the postseason, the game shifts fast, and with DraftKings live betting options, you can stay right in the moment. Plus, DraftKings has your back with early exit protection. If the player in your eligible NFL prop bet goes down at any point in the first half, you still get paid in cash. With DraftKings, you're covered through the entire half. Why bet player props anywhere else? New customers, here's your shot. Bet just $5, and if the bet wins, you get $300 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use KMOX. That's code KMOX to turn $5 into $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 plus. Physically present in Missouri. Eligibility and restrictions apply. Bet must win to receive bonus bets which expire in 7 days. Additional terms at DKNG.com/audio. Limited time offer.
Now back to the Gashouse Gang, sponsored by Saliga Heating and Cooling, overhead door company of St. Louis, on 104.1 FM KMOX.
Yeah, Bernie, before we say goodbye here, there's this whole saga that's been going on. And before I mention this, let me just say that you will never have any trouble catching Cardinals games live on 104.1 FM KMOX and the Odyssey app. You can listen here. Well, we're never going to fail you. Trust us, you'll have Ricky and Rooney and Claibs. They're all going to be here to bring you the coverage. But you're trying to watch the games on TV. Nobody knows what the hell's going on because FanDuel Sports Network, which is Main Street Sports Group, it's just a naming rights thing that was sold to FanDuel. So FanDuel does not produce the broadcast. They just are a naming rights situation there. But Main Street Sports Group has missed payments, rights fees payments, to the Cardinals. They've missed just this past month in December. They missed a payment. They were trying to get bought out by DAZN, which you've probably seen written as DAZN, and apparently that is done. But there's now a possibility of Fubo buying the Main Street Sports Group, and then therefore I guess Cardinals games could potentially be on that. However, it looks very, very likely that what will end up happening here, Bernie, is Cardinals games in 2026 will be produced by MLB. So Major League Baseball is going to take it over like they have a bunch of other teams, and a lot of other teams are in the same situation as the Cardinals. But this is just so stupid. And it just seems like Main Street Sports Group, which, by the way, was bankrupt before, used to be Diamond Sports Group, and they screwed up years ago, came out of bankruptcy. They changed their name. They seem to be run by, who knows. People that don't know what they're doing. But what a dumb situation, and Cardinals fans and baseball fans don't deserve it. Neither do the NBA and NHL fans, who may have to find different ways to watch their teams soon here.
The problem for the Cardinals and these other teams, if the Cardinals go to MLB to carry their TV and distribute them and all that, produce the broadcast, the Nationals are about to go on board to the MLB. So the Cardinals, if they do, it will be the 9th team. And as a short-term Band-Aid, that's really good. But in the first year that they did this, MLB guaranteed the teams that they would get a fixed amount of revenue. As of today, that's no longer the case. In other words, if the Cardinals will go to MLB, even though that association with MLB is positive, and that will eventually become a situation where the games will be streamed on ESPN, it'll be part of the Disney family, but that's not until maybe one more year after this, something like that, or maybe 2028. But anyway, all of these teams that sign on with MLB for 2026, they will not get a fixed revenue number. So it's going to be depending on basically how much they can sell. What kind of advertising revenue, what kind of marketing, what kind of sponsorship, what are the ratings, all that stuff. So like Bill DeWitt III and the Cardinals right now, like if they're looking at MLB, they don't know exactly what they would get out of it. I mean, they're not, hey, listen, no one's going to be starving, but I'm just saying it's pretty hard to make plans about payroll and some other things when you expect maybe another decrease in attendance at home, and then you don't really know exactly what your TV revenue is going to be. The Cardinals revenue, the Cardinals payroll went down a lot after Main Street did this to them the last time. So I would expect the payroll to continue to go down until there's some certainty.
I bet you the people running the show at Main Street Sports Group are going to get a nice bonus either way. Jeez. I bet you all kinds of cash. That's what happens.
Yeah, don't get me started. I'd hate to. Yeah, I'd hate to have Odyssey get sued by something I say. So yeah. I'll maintain my silence on that.
We got a dump button. You can text me. Let me know. Bernie, I know you're on Rush Hour Sports tomorrow, so we'll be listening in. Thanks for hanging out again, as always.
All right, take care, man. Take care.
Bernie Miklas, Chris Ranji. The Gashouse Gang is brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, SaligaHeatingandCooling.com, and Overhead Door Company of St. Louis.